In Shadow the Hedgehog you can decide in every stage if you want to do a good, an evil or a neutral mission that influences your further path. But how good can you play this game without collecting rings? This is the second video of the series. If you didn't watch the first, maybe you should do that now, because I already did all possible first to fourth stages there. The video was full of unspectacular moments, desperate situations, but also cool and interesting strats. Today I will look into the remaining stages, and I can promise you that it will be no different here. I hope you enjoy it. We will start with the 5th stages, and as usual with the darkest path. First we have the Ark. In the whole stage we just fly around with the black wood, and in the air there aren't any rings that we really have to avoid, so I can already say that both missions are possible without rings. And we only jump down if we do the dark mission and destroy 4 defense systems for Black Doom. There is no hero mission, and the normal mission is the easiest in the whole game, to get to the Chaos Emerald. I also did this first try. But that doesn't apply to the boss fight in the stage Blue Falcon. Like in Heavy Dog, we have to take his weapon and destroy him with it. However, we move pretty close to the rings, so it's easy to make mistakes. But it's possible with the usual 10 rings. In Air Fleet, the Black Arms are hunting the President. Shortly after the first save point, there's a crossing, where you can either go right and do the dark mission to destroy the President's escape pod for Black Doom, or you go left for the hero mission, where Tails wants to defeat 35 Black Arms. After the ways merge back together, there's a rail with rings on it. You can jump in between these rings, but I only recommend doing that for the dark mission. For the other 2 missions, I would use Chaos Control. After the 4th save point there's another crossing, and left I already completed the dark mission before these ways merged back together, really fast. Or you can go right and continue the hero mission. There are no serious obstacles after that anymore. And all 3 missions are possible without collecting rings. The normal mission as well, where you don't care about any of that, and just collect the light blue Chaos Emerald. Iron Jungle. If you do the hero mission for Omega, you're supposed to take the upper path at the beginning, but there's a rail with rings on it, so I jump down to the lower path anyway. Then I get a Gatling gun and hero shadow, and manage to destroy the egg balloon before the 3rd save point already. In the other 2 missions, I came across a light dash that I skipped by using a spin dash jump. Then, for the normal mission, you can just go down, but for the dark mission you have to go up, and that is a bit tricky. Because you can skip this light dash just barely with another spin dash jump, but the next light dash is way too long. We need Chaos Control. I first thought I need the heal cannon for that, but it's theoretically possible without it from the room before. But I needed save states once again to pull it off, because the way is too long for me to play it that perfectly, and you also have to defeat every enemy on your path, but interesting that it's possible. The dark mission, which is to defeat 28 gun robots for Eggman, is therefore harder to do without rings than the other 2, also the normal mission, which is to go to the entrance of Eggman's base. About Eggbreaker, the boss of the stage.
This is what you get for turning against your master. Oh, you asked for it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Time to crush you. What? Next time we meet, you won't be so lucky. Just you wait and see.
Yeah. In Space Gadget we start right off the bat having to collect 18 rings, but in my PS2 version I also sometimes only had 14 or 12. On top of that we have to watch out not landing on a save point immediately afterwards. Later this repeats with 12 more rings and we have to press left or right again. At the 2nd defense unit, I always take the path for the dark mission, because I don't want to do this place, where you sometimes collect 2 more rings. There are rings in many passages, but if you know what to do, and are careful enough, you stay at 30 rings. You might run into trouble with the time at the hero mission, because you have to collect the Chaos Emerald in 5 minutes, but it's possible. In the normal mission, you have to let the timer run out, and then collect the Chaos Emerald. That's obviously possible. And in the dark mission, you just destroy 6 defense systems for Black Doom. But when almost all of my recordings were finished already, I realized the following. There are 7 Black Hawks until the place with the 12 rings. Also 2 Black Warriors and 4 gun robots. So this is what I do. First I defeat 3 Black Hawks. Be careful, the one of the right wants to escape. Then the 2 black warriors. They give 1/15 of the hero gauge, just like the black hawks, of which we can snipe 3 more from the lowest platform. Then I get the heal cannon and go all the way back. This is pretty hard. The first spin dash jump is easy enough, but the second one, well, I'm glad about the save state I set there once again. When I arrived at the highest platform, I healed the 3 gun robots I encountered so far, for 1/10 of the hero gauge each. Then I run the same path forward again, and defeat the last Black Hawk on the way. Including 1 more gun robot, for those of you who calculated correctly, this is exactly enough to use Chaos Control and skip the 12 rings. We already know that we don't have to collect rings in later parts of the level, so 18 is the new minimum with the wide strat with the heal cannon. But there's a problem. We have to do the hero mission within 5 minutes, and with all of this stuff we used up much time already. The dark path is probably too long, so we have to take the hero path and just hope at that one place that we don't collect rings. But it is possible. So all 3 missions can be done with 18 rings. On a side note, this also means that the record for the most rings in this stage can be beaten by at least 11 rings, by skipping the 12 rings and collecting them later, and in turn abusing the save points a bit better, by, obviously, exactly 12 rings. The current record is 587, so it might be possible to get a 599. I'd love it if someone tried this at some point, because I definitely won't. I am not that crazy. But whatever, back to the topic. We want to do the exact opposite, to collect no rings. Let's look into the next stage. Lost Impact is a bit like the Doom. Many passages in the arc, but no hard rings to avoid. First we have to switch off Maria immediately, or she will collect a ring. At the first gun lift we will always get the last of the 3 ring boxes, but it only counts if we shoot on it as well. So the normal mission, where we have to go to Gerald's laboratory, is possible without rings. As well as the hero mission, where Maria wants to defeat 35 artificial chaos. Those are scattered around in the whole stage, and they are really dangerous as well, so this counts as one of the most annoying missions in the game, and I was scared before trying it. Therefore, guess what happened? First try, no problem at all. Okay, I was lucky in a few places, that despite my mistakes, I always barely didn't collect a ring or got hit, but to be honest, that was a good feel moment for me when it was done that quickly. With this, we're in stage 6 already. I want to keep it short for Gun Fortress, you can avoid every ring in this stage. The hardest ones are those on the rails near the end. And it also doesn't matter for both of the crossings if you take the lower paths that you need for the Dark mission because one of the 3 main computers that you have to destroy for Black Doom is there, or the upper path as safe route to the purple Chaos Emerald that you have to find for Rouge in the hero mission. In Black Comet this is even easier. Not only does the stage have less rings, they are even less centrally positioned, so it's easy to avoid all rings. There are some warp holes in this stage, but even those let you out near the save points, so this is doable as well. Without rings, you can do the Dark mission, where you defeat 50 gun robots for Black Doom, or the hero mission, where you get to the center of the comet with Knuckles, and to the Chaos Emerald. But there are a few harder places in Lava Shelter. After the second save point, especially in the Dark mission, you have to take the platforms on the outside, because neither the light dash nor the melted rail are an option. On the rails themselves, you have to react quickly, or jump in between rings. At the third defense unit, you can go straight on, if you want to do the hero mission for Omega. It is to find Eggman and a Chaos Emerald. Or you go left for the Dark mission of Eggman himself. After the fourth defense unit, on the long way up, there are multiple light dash paths, so it's time for Chaos Control once again. Then you can activate the fifth and last defense unit. Both missions are possible ringless. It's easier in Cosmic Fall to do both missions without rings. You don't have to take the first light dash, because you can just go on the lower platforms. In this stage there are multiple save points where you have to watch out how you land. The Dark mission is to collect the Chaos Emerald with Black Doom. This is done pretty quickly. The hero mission continues a bit longer. so I watch out for a last save point and treat myself with a long chaos control. Unnecessary but beautiful. Finally, I get to the computer room with Vector. Let's start the last stage, Final Haunt. Maybe we have the same success here and we land on a save point. The stage consists 3 times of either continuing the path forwards and do the hero mission, or activating one of the 4 shields for the dark mission, where you have to take another path. In both cases, there are never rings that you couldn't avoid. After 2/3 of the stage, you need chaos control once again, otherwise you would have to fight your way upwards and then use a light dash. Like this, you can get to the end of the stage, where you can either activate the 4th shield for Black Doom and finish the dark mission with 10 rings, or with the same result, do the hero mission with Sonic and find Black Doom and another Chaos Emerald. At the end of every story there's a final boss. This means 10 more rings for us, so I will only say if it gets more. For example, Black Doom. You fight him if you do the hero mission in Final Haunt, Cosmic Fall or Gun Fortress. The fight works the same in every of those. You need a weapon, for example after Final Haunt the Refractor, which does 3 damage by the way. Then you beat him a bit whenever you can, and when he is down to half, you go all out. Because the hero gauge is filled in progress, you get infinite ammunition and the fight is over pretty quickly. After Cosmic Fall, you can get a semi-automatic rifle, which still does 2 damage, so you can also beat Black Doom pretty easily here. You have to watch out that Sonic, Vector and Rouge don't collect any rings, but still, Black Doom is the easiest final boss in this game. Also after Gun Fortress, you can only get a machine gun here, which does 1 damage, but the fight also isn't too hard here. Unfortunately, it's the opposite for Sonic and Diablon. You fight them after the dark mission of Final Haunt, Black Comet and Gun Fortress. You have to get him out of his shield, use Sonic sometimes to go up there, and then jump at him a few times. This is especially hard in the version after Final Haunt, because it's too easy to accidentally collect a ring or get hit. At some point he will come down, so you'll have an easier time afterwards, and then you can also fill your dark gauge to make pretty quick work of him. So I was able to do it, but this boss is already hard enough without a challenge. The one after Black Comet was much easier. The circle of rings is bigger, so you have more space to operate, and there are more things in the level, so you can fill your dark gauge easier and without risk. The only annoying tries were when Sonic collected a ring that somehow counted for me. Sonic and Diablon after Gun Fortress is the hardest one of those 3, at least normally, because the weapon is so bad that you get. But it's much easier to evade a line of rings in the middle instead of a circle around it. In the end, I was barely able to defeat this version as well. In the other cases you fight against Egg Dealer. You have to jump at his slots and stop them from spinning to get the things you need. Basically you use his own weapons against him. Also this is only done at the outside of the arena, therefore you just have to hope that neither you nor your partner collects any ring there. This is the easiest after Cosmic Fall Dark, because there are no rings on that outside, therefore Vector can't collect any. It looks differently after Lava Shelter. You fight the same version after both Lava Shelter missions, so I only did this once. Anyway, here there are rings that you can collect, and Omega really wants to from time to time. But if you play well and run or jump away from the rings, you shouldn't have a problem defeating Eggman without collecting more rings. Also after Black Comet Hero. Here Knuckles is your partner and he also wants to collect some rings. But this wasn't a problem for me anymore, probably because of the practice effect our Lava Shelter. The secret seems to be to always run on the out or inside to not collect any ring. Before the route planning, I'll take a quick look into the last story. After some cutscenes we get to The Last Way, where you have to find Black Doom on the Black Comet. In this stage you use chaos control a lot, especially in some places where it's absolutely necessary to proceed. Therefore, I have an empty blue gauge after save point 4. I fill it up until after the 5th save point to skip a light dash by using chaos control, but you probably could have used the 2 platforms below as well. Right afterwards there are 2 speed rings with 2 ring balloons. Luckily those can be skipped by using a spin dash. There are no more noteworthy obstacles, and you can get to Black Doom without collecting a single ring. We watch some more cutscenes, and then, with help of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, Shadow turns into Super Shadow to defeat the final boss of this game, Devil Doom. Unfortunately, like all Sonic characters, Shadow needs 50 rings to transform. You know what that means for us. On top of that, Shadow loses 1 ring per second, and if we don't have any rings left, we fall and die, so we always have to stay above 0 rings. It would be best to defeat the boss within 50 seconds. Too bad if the world record is 52 seconds. I asked the Shadow speedrunning community afterwards if it might be possible to defeat the boss within 50 seconds, and they couldn't tell me either. Of course, you could collect 20 rings and do this within 70 seconds, but I wasn't ready to give it up just yet. I use tool-assisted speedrun methods, which don't just grant me save states, but playing frame per frame as well, for highly precise input, and I'm happy to tell you that that was actually enough to make it. The main problem was that you need 10 hits on full power to take him down, and in between 2 hits there's often a waiting time of just more than 5 seconds. But now I was able to manipulate the first 5 hits almost perfectly, you can see the times here. The rest I even was able to play by myself. Shoutouts to the Shadow speedrunning community, Devil Doom in under 50 seconds is possible. Maybe some of you want to take a look into that. Still, we have to take 50 rings that we get at the start of the boss. Then there's some more cutscenes, and afterwards our well-deserved credits for the last time. So the last story is done as well. So we finished all missions, and here we see how many rings we had to collect everywhere. Now let's come to the route planning. We start with the 6 stages. We have to do all of those twice anyway, so those are basically set. But how to get there? As 5th stages, it would be nice to have Air Fleet or Lost Impact, because we don't have to collect rings or defeat a boss there. And actually, the 5 missions of those 2 stages lead us exactly where we want to go. For the 4 stages, we can ignore Death Ruins, because we don't want to collect 400 rings in Circus Park Hero. Central City is not good either, because you have to collect 11 rings in Cryptic Castle. It's better to take the route via Prison Island and the Duke, because there are only 10 rings. You can get to Prison Island with only the 5 rings in Westopolis anyway, so it makes an optimal 3rd stage, and you can ignore Central City. But now it's better to play Mad Matrix and the Doom than Sky Troops, because it's 10 or 14 rings against 22, making them optimal connection points between Prison Island and Air Fleet or Lost Impact. Of course, you can also get to Mad Matrix by playing Glyphic Canyon Hero and Circus Park Normal, but that's a bit harder in my opinion. Now we know which stages we should play, we just need an order. Because in Mad Matrix we need the heal cannon to avoid 4 rings, we should unlock that first. This can be done by playing one of the 2 endings of Final Haunt. For example, story 188 to normal and then only hero missions, or story 222 with the 2nd and 3rd missions switched. It's 39 and not 35 rings because unfortunately we have to play Mad Matrix without the heal cannon and take the 4 rings. The other 9 stories can be done in any order. The other Final Haunt ending gives another 35, the other 8 stories 25 rings each. With the 50 rings of the last story we have a total of 324 rings. Sounds very much, but at least it's a nice square number. 2 more things before we finish. First, in every stage you can also collect 5 special keys that open a secret door at another place. In Final Haunt there's even 4 of them. This wasn't necessary for this challenge, and I'm very glad about that, because it was complicated enough with the unlockable weapons. But it can be really useful, especially in Gun Fortress and Space Gadget. And second, the rings at the start of boss battles. It's not quite clear if they should count or not. I counted them, but for example Cat Goblin did not. On that channel this challenge was already attempted before. The optimal story routes would stay the same however, even if we get more options via Iron Jungle and the Ark. We get 20 less rings for every story because of bosses, and 50 for the last story. The 324 rings get reduced to 74. There we go, sounds much better like that. I still consider 324 rings as the official result. And with this, this challenge is not quite over. There will be a bonus video where I tackle the expert mode. I'd be happy if you come back then. I hope you had a good time, wish you a nice day and see ya!